It started like any other Monday morning. The bustling Tokyo subway was filled with commuters, students, office workers, parents, all packed into the carriages, ready to face the day ahead. But for 13 people, it would be their last morning. For over 6,000 others, it would become a nightmare of choking, blindness, and pain. What unfolded on March 20th, 1995, was an act of terror that shocked the world, a meticulously planned chemical attack by the doomsday cult Aum Shinrikyo. This is the story of the Tokyo subway sarin attack, one of the deadliest acts of domestic terrorism in modern history. To understand the horror of that fateful day, we must first delve into the origins of Aum Shinrikyo. Founded in 1984 by Shoko Asahara, the group began as a spiritual movement blending elements of Buddhism, Hinduism, and apocalyptic Christianity. Asahara, born Chizuo Matsumoto, portrayed himself as a savior who would lead humanity through an imminent apocalypse. But what started as a quest for enlightenment soon morphed into a dangerous cult obsessed with power and destruction. Asahara proclaimed himself a messianic figure destined to lead his followers through the chaos of the impending Armageddon. By the early 1990s, Aum Shinrikyo had amassed significant wealth, weaponry, and influence, boasting tens of thousands of followers worldwide. They infiltrated various sectors of society, including academia and technology, and even ran a broadcasting station to spread their doctrine. They experimented with biological and chemical weapons, seeking ways to bring about global devastation. Sarin gas, a highly toxic nerve agent developed as a weapon of mass destruction, became their weapon of choice. And the Tokyo subway system, a lifeline for millions, became their target. The attack was meticulously planned over several months. 5 Aum Shinrikyo members, including Yasuo Hayashi and Ikuo Hayashi, no relation, were chosen for their loyalty and dedication to Asahara's vision. Each was armed with a small bag containing liquid sarin wrapped in newspaper, along with an umbrella tipped with a sharpened point to puncture the bags. Their instructions were clear: board different subway lines converging in central Tokyo, release the sarin gas during the height of rush hour, and escape undetected. At precisely 7:46 a.m. the plan was set into motion. Each attacker boarded their designated train, finding a spot near the center of the carriage. At their assigned stops, they punctured the sarin-filled bags, leaving the toxic liquid to evaporate. The attackers exited the trains calmly, blending into the crowded platforms as chaos began to unfold behind them. The effects of sarin gas were immediate and horrifying. Commuters began coughing violently, their eyes streaming as they gasped for breath. Within moments, some collapsed to the floor, convulsing as the nerve agent attacked their bodies. Victims reported an overwhelming sense of suffocation, as though their lungs were being crushed from the inside. Others experienced temporary blindness and disorientation, stumbling into walls and onto the tracks. At Kasumigaseki Station, one of the busiest hubs in Tokyo, the scene was particularly harrowing. Subway workers, unaware of the chemical nature of the attack, rushed to assist passengers, many of them succumbing to secondary exposure. The station became a makeshift triage area, with victims sprawled across the platforms, some barely clinging to life. The acrid stench of chemicals filled the air, mingling with the cries of the injured and the distant wails of ambulances. One victim described their last memory before blacking out as a surreal blur of panicked faces and the cold, metallic taste of death. Emergency services were overwhelmed as the scale of the attack became apparent. Hospitals across Tokyo were inundated with patients suffering from symptoms ranging from mild exposure to severe poisoning. Medical staff, initially unaware they were dealing with sarin gas, struggled to treat the influx of victims effectively. Many first responders and hospital workers fell ill themselves, further complicating rescue efforts. By the end of the day, 13 people had lost their lives, and over 6,000 others were injured. Survivors spoke of the terror they felt as the invisible killer spread through the confined subway cars. Some described watching their fellow passengers collapse, their faces contorted in pain, unable to do anything to help. Others recalled the suffocating sense of isolation, knowing they were trapped with a silent, deadly enemy. One commuter shared the haunting image of a mother clutching her child, both unresponsive, as chaos erupted around them. As the panic subsided, the focus turned to identifying those responsible. Within days, Japanese authorities zeroed in on Aum Shinrikyo. Raids on their compounds revealed stockpiles of sarin, manufacturing equipment, and detailed plans for future attacks. Investigators uncovered a chilling level of organization within the cult, including their use of high-ranking members with advanced degrees in science and engineering to develop chemical weapons. Shoko Asahara, the group's leader, was arrested along with several top members. Asahara remained defiant, refusing to acknowledge his role in the attack. His trial became one of the longest and most expensive in Japanese history, spanning over 7 years. Evidence presented included recordings of cult meetings where Asahara openly discussed mass murder as a path to salvation. The trial also unveiled a disturbing culture within the group, where obedience to Asahara overrode any moral boundaries. Ultimately, Asahara and 12 other senior members were sentenced to death. Asahara was executed in 2018, bringing some closure to the victims and their families. The Tokyo subway sarin attack stands as a chilling reminder of the dangers posed by extremist ideologies and the devastating impact of weapons of mass destruction. It highlighted the vulnerabilities of urban centers and the importance of preparedness in responding to chemical and biological threats. The bravery of the first responders, many of whom sacrificed their own health to save others, remains a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Today, measures such as enhanced security protocols, chemical detection systems, and public awareness campaigns aim to prevent similar tragedies. But the memory of that dark morning lingers, a stark warning of the consequences of fanaticism and the fragility of safety in a complex world. For many survivors, the scars, both physical and emotional, serve as a daily reminder of the horror they endured. Shoko Asahara's twisted vision of chaos failed to materialize, but the pain and fear he unleashed will never be forgotten. The attack on March 20, 1995, serves as a grim lesson in vigilance, compassion, and the enduring strength of a community united against terror.